how's it going, guys? I'm here to talk to you guys about privatization and what the proponents of it are saying, as well as the people who agree with this notion. To start off, let us define privatization. Privatization can refer to the act of transferring ownership of a specified property or business operation from a government organization to a privately owned entity, as well as the transition of ownership from a publicly traded or owned company to a privately owned company. For a company to be considered privately owned, it cannot secure funding from public trades on a stock exchange. An example of this occurring was when British companies such as British Airways, British Petroleum, and Britol converted their government-operated businesses into privately owned enterprises, which now operate on a for-profit basis instead of solely for the benefit of the public. Proponents of privatization would say privatization is most of the time associated with improved efficiency due to profit incentive. Private companies will ensure they improve their operational efficiency in order to reduce their costs and improve on profits. So not only will they improve on profits, privatization does involve the companies to base their market on competition now instead of having a monopolized enterprise. Privatization reduces the government's political interference. The government sometimes seem incapable of making hard decisions, especially when they impact their political footing, such as layoffs, pay cuts, which are bound to attract negative publicity. Privatization urges improvements in the company through competition. As I previously stated before, when a state-owned entity is privatized, it loses its government protection and is forced to adapt to the market by providing better services or products in order to survive and thrive. People who oppose the idea of privatization would say these may eventually seek to increase prices at the detriment of the consumer with no controls. So what this is saying is, even though we are allowing this company to be privatized, they would only act on the behalf of the profits they are earning instead of the benefit of the public. So there's many cases today where healthcare, free healthcare, and privatized healthcare. All right. So how does this have to do with international business? We have to look to the past of what happened. So take, for example, the collapse of the Soviet Union. Most of the state-run enterprises became privately owned. So massive amounts of privatization occurred between 1989 to 1995. 11% of the private sector's GDP was accounted for in 1989, and that jumped to 60% in 1995. Another example would be China's state-run government. They're slowly progressing towards more privately owned businesses, and however, this does not promote economic growth all the time. And even though you are still a state-run government, there can still be flaws due to low property rights and intellectual rights. All right. So to conclude, privatization, particularly in the 21st century, will continue to see an increase in privately owned businesses. But however, today, especially with China, we continue to see a large amount of state-run businesses that follow the regulations of China's government. And to reiterate, privatization occurs when some companies fall into debt, or in some instances they want to take in profits for that company and to create more competition in a market-based economy. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time, and peace.